Ask anyone what killed ancient humans. They will say predators, lions, wolves, cave bears, saber-toothed cats. Wrong. The biggest killer of ancient humans was something you cannot see, hear, or fight. And it is still killing more humans today than anything else on Earth. Let us start with what everyone assumes. Predators. The fossil record tells a different story. Ancient human bones show predator attack wounds in fewer than 2% of cases. 2%. That is not an existential threat. That is background noise. The real killers were invisible, microscopic, everywhere. Bacteria, parasites, viruses. The true apex predators of ancient humanity. But even before we get to disease, the number one killer was something simpler. Starvation. Not dramatic starvation. Chronic, grinding, weekly food insecurity. Ancient humans were hungry most of the time, not starving. Hungry. The difference between 3,000 calories and 1,000. Most hunts failed. Gathering was seasonal. Winter killed regularly. A human body running on chronic caloric deficit cannot fight infection effectively, cannot heal wounds properly, cannot survive a disease that a well-fed person might. Starvation did not just kill directly. It made everything else deadlier. Now, let us talk about the second killer, the one hiding in the water. Waterborne pathogens killed more ancient humans than any predator ever did. Cholera, typhoid, dysentery, Giardia. Every water source was a potential death sentence without the ability to test it. Ancient humans had no way to see what was in the water they drank. Diarrheal disease alone kills more children today than malaria and HIV combined. In the ancient world, without any treatment, it was catastrophic. Now, let us talk about the third killer. Infection. A cut, a scratch, a broken bone that pierces skin. In the modern world, these are minor inconveniences. In the ancient world, they were potential death sentences. Without antibiotics, a simple infection in a wound could reach the bloodstream within days. Sepsis. The immune system attacking the entire body to fight an overwhelming infection. Ancient skeletons show chronic infection as one of the most common causes of death. Not battle wounds, not predator attacks, infected scratches, infected teeth, infected childbirth wounds. The most dangerous moment in an ancient human's life was not a lion attack. It was giving birth. Maternal mortality in ancient populations was catastrophically high. Estimates suggest 1 in 8 women died in childbirth or from postpartum infection. Not from the birth itself usually, from the infection that followed. Childbed fever, bacterial infection entering the uterus after delivery, killed millions of women across history. Now, let's talk about the fourth killer, something most people never consider: each other. Interpersonal violence in ancient populations was far higher than most people assume. Studies of prehistoric skulls show trauma consistent with deliberate blows to the head in up to 10% of individuals. 10%. Not from falls, not from animals, from other humans. But the violence was not random warfare. It was almost entirely resource-based. Water access, hunting territory, food caches, mates. The same 4 things that drive almost all human conflict today. Now, let us talk about the fifth killer, the one that shaped human biology more than any other. Cold. Not dramatic cold, not blizzards, just consistently insufficient shelter from wind and rain. Hypothermia kills at 14 degrees Celsius if you are wet and exposed. Ancient humans had no Gore-Tex, no synthetic insulation, no central heating, animal hides, fire, body heat from sleeping together. That was everything standing between them and death on a cold, wet night. Cold also weakened immune function dramatically. A chilled body fights infection poorly. Cold and infection together were the combination that killed most ancient humans. Now, let us talk about what ancient humans actually feared most. Not lions. The evidence is clear on this. They feared drought. A drought did not just reduce food. It concentrated all remaining food and water in one location, which brought every competitor, every predator, and every disease vector into the same space. Drought triggered the perfect storm: starvation, competition, disease, and violence simultaneously. Every major human migration in ancient history was driven by drought. Out of Africa, into Europe, into Asia, into the Americas. The human species spread across the earth primarily because it was running from a lack of water. Now, let us talk about parasites, because parasites are the most underrated killer in human history. Malaria alone has killed more humans than all wars in history combined. Estimates suggest malaria may have killed half of all humans who have ever lived. Not half of some people. Half of everyone. A parasite carried by a mosquito, weighing less than a grain of sand, shaped human genetics, human migration patterns, and human history more than any war ever did. The sickle cell trait, which protects against malaria, spread through entire African populations. Not because of a decision, because everyone without it died from malaria before they could reproduce. The mosquito rewrote human DNA across an entire continent. Now, let us bring this all together. What was the actual threat hierarchy? Number 1. Disease and infection. Number 2. Starvation and food insecurity. Number 3. Environmental exposure, cold, wet, heat. Number 4. Interpersonal violence, usually over resources. Number 5. Predators. Dead last. The thing everyone imagines as the defining threat. Now here is why this matters for how we understand ancient humans. Every adaptation ancient humans developed was shaped by the real threat list. Community living, to share food and survive starvation together. Fire mastery, to fight cold, cook food safely, and purify water. Boiling water, one of the most important health innovations in human history. Social hierarchies, to manage resource competition and reduce violence within groups. The ancient human was not primarily a fighter, not primarily a hunter, primarily a survivor of invisible threats, a manager of hunger, cold, infection, and thirst. Someone who woke up every morning and had to solve the same 4 problems before nightfall. And somehow, across 300,000 years of doing exactly that, managed to become the most numerous large mammal on Earth. Not because we were the strongest, not because we were the fastest, because we were the best at solving invisible problems together. The lion never stood a chance. It was never really the competition.